Yo, what's going on, everybody? I wanted to hop on here and tell you guys another story. So, actually, I guess it's a couple stories because I wanted to cover the topic of some of the funnier dates I ever went on. Now, these aren't my worst dates. Maybe I'd make another video on that. But back in the day when I was in college and shit, and just after college, I was big on the dating apps. Now, I wasn't looking for anything serious, but I'd be on those things like all the time at work, after work. Like, I'd just be talking to girls. I don't know, flirting, seeing if anybody wanted to link up, shit like that. So I did that shit all the time, and I had a pretty good stretch of luck with it. I mean, there's obviously dudes on there that would just kill it. That wasn't me. This wasn't like a daily or even weekly thing sometimes, but quite frequently I would meet up with these girls and we'd smoke weed or hang out or go for drinks or hook up, and I did that for many years. So I had a couple run-ins with some dates that I thought were funny. Either I fucked it up or they were just weird people. So I thought I'd talk about that. So the first one that sticks out in my mind is this girl I went out with in Ottawa when I was away at school at college. I just met her the one time. I met her on Tinder or something like that, maybe Bumble, and we just decided to go downtown that evening. I don't even think it was a weekend or anything, so we were gonna go for some drinks and dinner. And I would always roll up blunts, and bring them with me because I had a few moves. So if I went downtown with a girl, I used to know how to get onto the Ottawa Rideau Mall. That's like the big mall in the core of downtown. Ottawa's not that big, so this isn't that crazy of a mall, but I knew how to get on the roof of this place. So we would go up there and it'd be nighttime and shit, and we'd spark up a blunt, and I don't know, the girls fucked with it. It was unique, it was different. So that always worked for me. So that was my plan again this evening. Go to Warehouse. I don't know if that's in the States, but it's just like kind of a cheap college student bar. You get cheap ass food and cheap drinks. So I took girls there, partied there all the time. So I went there with her and we got dinner. My plan was to get some drinks and then go up to the top of that mall, spark up that blunt, and see where it went from there. But when we were at this warehouse, Canadians obviously stereotypically eat poutine, right? Well, yes, it's true. It's not really a stereotype, it's just facts. So poutine is everywhere, and of course, pardon me, college cheap menu at a bar, poutine is on the menu. Well, that's what this girl got, and I didn't really think anything of it. It's just fries, gravy, and cheese curds, right? But I think it was a waitress. When she asked her what she wanted, and she said a poutine, but she added maple syrup. And now that I'm actually saying that out loud, I'm realizing how fucking stupid that sounds. Like Canadians are exactly as we're made fun of, just pure stereotype. Oh yeah, give me a poutine, with some fucking maple syrup on there. Like, no, I mean, this girl genuinely, it took me by surprise. It took the waitress by surprise. That's disgusting. Nobody does that. Nobody should do that. I was in awe, honestly. And she was a very pretty, attractive girl. Honestly, she was out of my league, but there's a reason why I think we'll see. We'll get to that. Anyways. So yeah, she was just out of my league and it took both of us by surprise. I didn't say anything. I had just met this girl, so whatever, eat whatever you want, right? I got a Corona with a lime, and then she didn't order any drinks. Now, I don't care if you don't drink, right? But we had discussed that the plan was to go downtown and like go to the bar, and I had rolled up these blunts and stuff, and now she's talking about how she's a Christian. She's pretty religious and she doesn't drink or smoke or anything like that, right? Yeah, that's completely out of left field compared to what we were talking about, and also not something I have any experience with. I mean, I'm not Christian. I never went to church. I do smoke and I do drink. So yeah, that just I was like, "Oh boy." I just didn't think we were going to have anything in common and there wasn't going to be much topics to discuss. And there really wasn't. It was kind of a flat date, nothing really happened, but she still seemed to be like enjoying herself and kind of like I don't know, you can tell when someone's disinterested. She didn't seem like that at all. She seemed like she was completely enjoying herself, and even though the conversation was falling flat, she still looked happy to be there and intrigued. So I was pleasantly surprised by that, and I just continued on the evening and whatever. It didn't matter. We weren't going to smoke or drink, so that's not that big of a deal. I can still have fun. We had our dinner and just talked or whatever. Oh, I forgot to mention when the stupid fucking maple syrup poutine came out, she had the audacity to complain that it was cold and send it back. Not only is it a ridiculous dish, you are at a warehouse, ma'am. This is like obviously you have to be from Canada, maybe even Ontario to know what that is, but it's just like the shittiest, cheapest. Like the poutine was probably like $5. It's college food at a college bar. Everybody there is just getting blacked out. Nobody's ordering the food. Nobody's there for good food. So to send it back because it was like slightly cold was fucking crazy to me. I think I was like, no, you can't do that. I was like, you can't. It's gonna be so fucked. But she did it. Whatever. We ended up leaving. I took her to the top of the mall anyways, fuck it. But of course, I made no moves. Like, it didn't seem, I wasn't getting that vibe. So I made no moves and we just chatted and walked around the city a bit and I don't know, looked at a nice neighborhood and then hopped on the bus and I took her home. She kind of lived in between downtown and my house. So when we got to her stop, I just got off the bus, walked her to her house, went back to the bus and went home. I thought nothing of it. I thought, yeah, whatever. It was an interesting experience. I met somebody new. It was more unique than just sitting at home and ripping like PUBG at the time. So whatever. I didn't care. I didn't even think we would ever speak again, to be honest. I thought that was the end of things. But she hit me up almost like by the time I had woken up in the morning, I had multiple texts. I mean, she was like texting me like we had been seeing each other for weeks. It took me by surprise. I didn't even really know how to respond. I'm not like awkward or anything, but like I was just blown away. I was like, what the fuck? So I was like, okay, whatever. I don't know. She was attractive. I thought she was hot. You know what I mean? So I was like, I'll give it a shot. I'll just keep texting her, even though I knew she was Christian, and I was like, well, I'm not gonna marry this girl. I don't know if that's rude. I apologize if people take offense by that, but I'm not Christian, so that's how I think. It was just funny, the way she was texting me like we had been going out for a while, but I literally just met her the night before. Anyways, I didn't really care, so I was talking to her throughout the day. I wasn't really taking it that serious. I was kind of trying to let the conversation die, you can say, but this is where it got interesting because later that night I was outside and I was smoking one of those blunts I'd rolled the previous night by myself. And I was just chilling out and then my phone rang. She was calling me. Now, I don't know. I would never call somebody I literally met the night before. I don't know about you guys, but I was like, what could this And when I answered, she just wanted to like chat, like your girlfriend would call you and just chat. Like, you know what I mean? Like talk about her day and rant and shit like that. And I was like, lady, I just met you. Like all the people she was referencing on the phone in her stories about her day, I didn't even know them. I had no context. I was like, what do you want me to do with it? I don't know. It kind of blew me away. And when I was on the phone, I was still giving her a shot. I was still entertaining the conversation, but I like obviously you can tell by my videos, I swear. I've always sworn. Well, she was like telling me, she was like, I really don't like when you swear. It really upsets me when you swear. It was fucking crazy. So obviously I got off that phone. I made up some bullshit. I got off the phone and I was like, all right, I don't think I'm going to text this girl anymore. Like too many red flags. This is crazy. Well, she started just endlessly spam texting me and to the point where she was like sending hearts and kissy faces and I miss you. And I was like, holy shit, this girl's insane. I kind of brushed over it, but when I met her, I was like, holy fuck, she's like super attractive. Like this girl was way out of my league, way out of my league. And it all made sense in the end. Another one that stands out in my mind is same kind of time frame. I think a little bit after this, I was still at college. I was still in school, and I met a girl. This was the only girl I ever met on Bumble. I don't know. Bumble seems like a weird app to me. It just seems like shit, but it worked out this one time. So I met this girl, and she was pretty thick, and I'm not gonna lie to you guys. I was in a bit of a dry spell at the time, so I told her to reach and she was completely down to just come over. And usually if a girl is telling you to come over to her house or she's going to come to your house, I mean, you know what the vibe is. If you're not going out like on a date, and this is the first time you're meeting, you know what's happening. So I knew what was going down, so I freshened up and like nobody was home with me at the time. I had the whole house to myself. My roommates were not there. She smoked weed. So I had like a pretty sick ass basement at the time, honestly. It was just decked out. Ping pong table, huge couch, TV, good movies like Netflix with big speakers, mini fridge. So we kicked it down there like all evening. I think we watched like a scary movie on Netflix and then just smoked a bunch of weed. But eventually the time came where, we went upstairs. We went to my room. And like I mentioned, I was in a bit of a dry spell at the time. And I'm not embarrassed to admit it, that when things, started to pick up a little, I was a two pump chump. It was the only time in my life this has ever happened, but I swear to God, like when I say two pump chump, I mean like it was crazy fast. Like I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe it and I couldn't like face it. So I couldn't tell her. So I had to make up some bullshit. She didn't even know. I don't even think she knew I had finished, which is crazy. But Anyways, I just like pulled out and was like, "Oh shit, 1 second." I was like, "I think the condom ripped," and then I just like ran to the bathroom to get rid of the evidence because I was like, "She cannot know that that was it." And then when I came back, I can't remember what I did. I think I made up some super embarrassing lie like, "Oh, I don't know. I don't know if I'm ready for this yet. I recently broke up with my girlfriend and I don't know if I'm over it." Just like the worst move ever to like try and gain sympathy when actually I was just super embarrassed. Well, she was cool. I don't know. I don't really know why this girl stuck around because we just went back downstairs, smoked more weed, watched like more, I think like The Office or something, and then within like an hour we went back up to my room and I was completely fine cuz obviously I had gotten that first one out of the way. So, that was pretty cool. She was chill and I somehow got away with it. I got away with that one. And finally, the third one that I think is pretty funny. This was long after I was out of school. I had already moved back to my parents' house, and there's not really many people in my area because I live in the country. So when I was on the apps here, like when I lived in a city, I mean, it was easy. But here at my house, it was not. So, anyways, one night I had just matched with this like kind of cute, chubby Asian girl. And I was hitting her up talking, and she wanted to chill. She wanted me to come over to her house, and she lived like very close by in comparison to all the other people I had matched with. So I was down. I hadn't really met up with anybody off the apps in months at this point because I had moved home. So I was like, fuck it, I'll go. Well, when I got there to her house, I I I'd been catfished. She was much heavier set than her photos, you know, showed. She was probably in her photos like I would have been like maybe I don't know, like 180, 200 pounds or something like that. But when I met her, I think she was like 300. I'm not even kidding. She was still very attractive though. She had a very pretty face, nice hair, all that, nice smile. So obviously, if I'm saying that, you know where I'm going with this. Well, we hung out, we got food, whatever, and then we're just chilling at her house. It was so fucking weird too because her dad was home, and she told me her dad was home, and we were in the living room, like middle floor, family room, open concept, being loud, and like her dad was home in his room, I guess, upstairs, and I was just like concerned about it because I don't know, it was just weird. I just met this girl and like I'm a stranger in their home and like the dad is there. I was like if he went to the kitchen, he could see us. If he went anywhere in the house, he could see us. So I was like, "Yo, isn't your dad going to be like weirded out?" She's like, "He'll never leave his room. I told him not to leave his room. So he won't come down here all night." So immediately I was kind of like, what the fuck? I don't know. That weirded me out. I was like, is this frequent for you? I don't know. It was odd. But anyways, yes, like I'd said, there's not many girls in my area, so one thing led to another, and she was larger, but she had a huge ass. I mean, huge. So whatever. I was smoking weed and chilling with her, got food. She was super nice anyways, and she had a very pretty face. So it doesn't matter. She's a lovely lady, and yeah, I hit it. Anyways, those were the funniest dates in my opinion. Those are the funniest. I think maybe I don't know. I'll have to recount. Those are definitely not the worst dates though. I'll make another video on that because I think I had some. There's definitely some really bad fucking dates. Also, I would like to say that I don't really support the dating apps. I mean, for a while there when they came out, they were fun, but eventually they just got like really draining. They're definitely not good for your mental health, and they've absolutely obliterated the dating scene like IRL, like talking to someone in real life that you just met or at a bar. They've obliterated that. I think that's sad. I would much rather it that way. So those dating apps can really be mentally draining. Maybe I'll make another video on that. If you made it this far, I appreciate you. Peace.